Good evening. Today is Thursday, June 20th, 2024. Welcome to the monthly meeting of the Australian Shepherd Club of America Board of Directors. Tonight in attendance, we have myself, Susan Byrne, Rick Gann, Donna Sims, Ann McCabe, Jody McClellan, Jan Wiesen, Jerry Scheit, David Clayton, and Jillian Ward is not in attendance this evening. Thank you all for joining us. The first item on the agenda this evening will be the treasurer's report. Jody?
Good evening. Let me start off with the balances of the accounts. It is Thursday, so these balances were as of Tuesday night. Operating account is $151,615. Savings is $75,807. The AEMD fund is $60,215. Foundation is at $41,487, and the 2023 Nationals account is at $28,427. Couple of things to mention that came in on the May finances. We received an additional $955 for the Witch Book, which brings the total sales for that up to $3,795. Another great example of our members buying is the Illustrated Breed Standard, which has brought in $1,070. We also received $300 in donations. It didn't specify what it was to be used for, but at the request of the office, the webmaster has added a line on the donation page so the donor can specify where they would like their donation to be used if they choose to do so. We also had office repairs in May that came to $747.61. This was for the spring gutter cleanout. There was a leak in the roof that came down on our new tiles, by the way, but that has been repaired, and so that was the cost of those repairs in May. For the month of May, the office transferred for AEMD, they transferred $10,978 from the operating to the AEMD savings account. As I mentioned, bringing the total of that account up to $60,215. I've got a couple of concerns and corrections to discuss within that spreadsheet that I sent. We are currently running shortfalls and potential shortfalls in a couple of places. We made a $5,000 payment to Island Grove as a down payment for 2026 Nationals, which puts that budgeted line item short $1,000. In addition, our budget for professional fees, which includes the attorney, the bookkeeper, election trust, the trademark attorney, and various trademark associated fees, was originally set at $30,000 for the budgeted for the year, and we only have 31% of that budget remaining for the remainder of the year. So we are going to be short on that one because I know we have at least 2 quarters left for payment to the attorney alone, and we're running about $1,600 to $1,800 a month besides that. I do have some suggestions to correct one of those in a bit, but I'll get to that. We're also changing some line items and their current classifications. Each month on the profit and loss statement, you'll see a charge under miscellaneous for a survey, and it says $241.98. This is actually for our Constant Contact subscription. So in talking with the office, we're going to change that. It's going to be called text email communications, and it will be moved under the computer classification. So it will now become a budgeted item within the computer system. Also in March, there was a $47.96 charge that came in as recruiting. This was for, as suggested by our attorney, to run background charges on potential new hires. And so they just put it in recruiting. Again, talking to the office, we're going to move that under office expenses. And I think we're retitling that as well. I just didn't get the name that we're changing it to from the office. Some of the board members requested some information regarding the balance sheet that was sent out. I was able to get some answers for us. Sorry, the bird's talking. So I was able to email Tim about the 2024 Nationals account and why it hasn't been included yet. And he informed me that he hasn't received the data yet. And once he is done with the 2023 Nationals, he'll speak with the appropriate person to get the ledger information and then begin uploading the information. So he is aware that it's not on the balance sheet, and it will be as soon as he finishes 2023. For the vacation, sick days, employee information. Sorry. The bookkeeper will work with the office manager to get that mapped over correctly to QuickBooks. So that's just something that needs to be changed on QuickBooks side. There was also a question about credit cards and how they were used. There are currently 4 credit cards. The office manager informed me there's technically 4 credit cards in existence, all of which are Chase cards associated with our bank. There's an old one with the former office manager that our current office manager is completely aware of. It hasn't been shut down yet because there are some yearly subscriptions renewals that are coming through that are unknown to her. Occasionally, it's not very often, but she wants to hold that open for a year of her being there and watching it to make sure that everything has been covered before she completely closes that one. The other cards are for the current office manager, the executive secretary, and the president. One thing we do have to change, the office manager is able to see the activity on her card and also the executive secretary's card. So there is oversight on that. But the president's card was taken out in the interim, and so it was set up differently. So we are going to get that changed so everything is under one logon and can be viewed at one time by the office manager as oversight. So we'll be addressing that going forward. We also checked with the credit cards. We don't believe that there's an annual fee. She is going to double check that because I find it hard to believe that there isn't, because they do give us 1.5% cash back on every charge. And to verify the other question, the credit card is paid off monthly. The charges that typically go on the credit card are some of the monthly charges that come in. And constant contact is one, for example. Some of the outside stuff that comes in, and office supplies, but the Microsoft charges, our utilities, and that kind of thing automatically go there and then are parceled out in the P&L. So I hope that answers the questions that you guys had about the balance sheet. Going forward, the 2023 Nationals account, I've talked to the bookkeeper and he has no problem with us moving the money out. As I mentioned, the current balance is $28,427. I would like to suggest the following. We leave $2,000 in the account. $1,500 will be used as seed money for the 2025 Nationals, and $500 will be left to cover any late expenses that come in for 2023. I know there was talk about a couple of things that might not have cleared or might have to go out, so that would just be to cover that. Per the 2024 Nationals budget, the committee has $65,000 set aside for AEMD to cover the finals fees. And we are $4,784.93 short. So I would like to take that amount from the 2023 nationals, put it into the AEMD savings account, and that will cover the request for the committee for the budget. That would leave $21,642.22 that I would like to move to the regular savings account. As I mentioned earlier, we've got a couple of shortfalls, but the biggest one is for the professional fees. One way to correct this is to shift some funds from the Aussie Times budget over to the professional fees. This isn't something we can decide today. I just want everybody to think about it because I know we're having a meeting in regards to the Aussie Times next week. I don't know what the projected cost of printing the Aussie Times, which we will need at the end of the year to put one out in January, will be. I am estimating that we're going to need to shift over about $14,000 from, well, the only place we really can do it is from the Aussie Times to cover that shortfall. But that's something I'm hoping we can discuss once we know more about the cost for the Aussie Times. There is an audit update. In talking with the office manager today, we realized there was some confusion regarding the motion that was passed earlier when we went from an annual to a biennial audit. We agreed that we would do an audit in 2024 for the 2023 fiscal year, and then we wouldn't conduct another audit until 2026 for the 2025 fiscal year. Somehow the policy book got that reversed, and so I'll work with Cala to get that fixed. But all of that being said, the audit for 2024 on the 2023 national fiscal year hasn't been started yet because of the bookkeeper just finishing off the nationals account. So that should be done hopefully within the next week or two, and then we can proceed working with our accountant to commence the audit of our 2023 finances. And then last thing, update on the Vanguard accounts. I've submitted the information that we needed from Chase Bank, which would allow us to link our Chase Bank accounts to the Vanguard accounts. I submitted that on the 18th. I've yet to hear anything from them, but once that gets approved and they don't require any information, it could take up to 10 business days for that link to go live. And the minute it does, I will transfer funds from the Chase savings accounts that we've talked about in the past to the Vanguard accounts, where the money market that we've talked about is currently earning 5.39% APR. Before I ask permission for a couple of things to move forward, are there any questions?
Jody, I'd just like to clarify on that card that is in my name. Anytime that card is used, there are receipts substantiating any purchase that they are definitely submitted to the office manager for her records, as she actually receives the statement for that credit card in the office and therefore has the documentation to back up and be the supporting documentation for any purchases. And
Correct.
that, just wanted to make sure that that was very well known. And that balance is zero.
Yeah, sorry, Susan. Not to imply anything, of course, but yes, they're very well aware of that and the receipts coming in, and it all checks off. We just needed to change the way it's logged onto, and that's the only issue we have with it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Sure. Jan?
Since we're discussing the credit cards, are you receiving the supporting documentation for all the credit cards? And if not, can we reinstate that policy of more eyes on the credit card statement?
So I do not have access to it via Chase. I can talk to the office manager about getting that information, or I can have statements sent to me automatically. She can set that up, and so I can do that and forward them for financial purposes to the board. If that's what you'd like on a monthly basis, I can do that.
That was part of one of the steps that was set up when I was treasurer, verifying what expenditures were happening. And I think we're still in a situation we need to be checks and balances, because I still think our finances are very tight. I think we still need to be watching everything that we're spending. Thanks.
Just to clarify, Jan, as you know, all of the credit card charges are then imported onto the P&L, so they do show up in the monthly P&L. So it's not that they just put credit card $20,000 or whatever, but we do. So everything on there gets split up into their appropriate categories. If there aren't any other questions, so my question is, do I have permission to move the money to the AEMD savings account to cover the $65,000 budgeted for the 2024 Nationals? Any objections to that? Okay. Any questions about the projected shortfalls in the budget, knowing that we'll have further discussions once we know more about the printing costs? All right, then that's my report. I'd like to make a motion to approve the treasurer's report as given.
Okay, I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, thank you all. Great job, Jody. Thank you so much. Thanks for all your hard work. And please tell the bookkeeper how much we appreciate the work that's going into this. Okay, we're going to move right along, excuse me, to the system liaison report. David?
Yes, thank you. So there was a meeting of the IT committee on 6/17, and they covered a lot of ground. They went over all the items to address in the future and some questions that had come up or some problems that had come up as time has gone on. They're working on the mobile payment. They've made progress on that. They still have the same priorities, which is mobile payment, printing of titles, and linking the different programs and titling. They did release a point schedule that Heidi did. Things are going pretty well. They're moving on, and they have kind of been really invigorated, as I had said before. So it's an active committee. They're working on our problems. They're trying to get through them as quickly as possible. Veronica has been a great addition to this, and she's been able to help with some of the coding issues. So there's good progress made, and we will continue with that.
Thank you, David. Does anybody have any questions for David on anything that the IT committee is doing? Jody?
David, are they coming out with any projections, any timeframes, anything like that? Or are they still in the what needs to be done and can we do it stage?
Yeah, mostly it's timing. There is no projection. They're still going through code. They're still looking at the errors, because there were like 122 errors in the code. So they're trying to solve them one at a time. And they have prioritized their list of the first things to cover. So those are the areas that are most vital to ASCA, especially payment issues, how to handle your membership, get your membership paid online, other things paid online, titles getting printed. The title printing is working, but it has a few bugs, so sometimes it takes going over it twice. They are aware of the problems and they're working on them as fast as possible.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any further questions regarding the IT committee and the work that they're doing? All right, thank you, guys. All right, that brings us to the last item on the agenda tonight, and that would be the ratification of the email business during the month of May. Any director may move to approve that. Do we have a motion there?
This is,
Move.
this is Ann. I move to approve last month's email business.
Thank you, Ann. Do I have a second?
I'll second it. This is Jan.
Great. Okay. We have a motion on the floor from Ann and a second by Jan to ratify the business conducted via email for the month of May. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, guys. I'm hoping that everybody has a great month remaining. Our entries for the national specialty open on July 1st. I think we're all looking very forward to attending in Nebraska. It's a new site for us, and I think that it has a lot to offer. So I'm hoping that everybody is very excited about that, and we'll get those entries in and let everybody know that you're coming. One thing that I do want to ask everyone to make sure and check, if you are a finals competitor, those results, except for junior handling, are posted on the website today. If you are a competitor that has been campaigning your dog for finals during this year up until May 31st, please, please, please go and check that your points are correct. Check that that dog is in the standings where you believe that dog is supposed to be in the standings. And the other thing that is really, truly critical this year is you need to make absolutely certain that your email address is correctly listed in the portal for the website. All invitations to finals will be sent to these you as competitors in via email this year. Once again, those will be going out by July 1st. The 1st is on a Monday. The office is requesting that all standings be verified no later than the 28th of June. For those programs that require you to be a member in good standing in order to be invited to finals, please take this opportunity to make sure that your membership is current and up to date. That has been a problem in the past, and invariably the board will get requests to please forgive and reconsider that competitors' desire to compete. It's some accountability, folks. You guys make sure that if you're required to have a full membership, that your membership is current and active. I don't believe we have anything else for this evening. I hope everyone has a great weekend and a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our meeting this evening. And good night.
Good night, all.
Good night. Thanks.